Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Mental Health Awareness right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest all the way from Puerto Rico is Dr. Lisa Tang. We're going to be talking about foreplay today. No, not the foreplay you think it is. It's the 4 ingredients to bounce back from burnout. And burnout is something that happens to everybody along the way. And she says, we're going to describe exactly what the 4 stands for. We're going to be talking all about that. But we're also going to be talking about raising our vibration, raising our consciousness, the magnetic mind coach. She is a best-selling author and speaker. She's renowned magnetic mind coach. She's also the CEO of Awakened Company that helps healthcare professionals thrive and not just survive. She's acclaimed for her appearances on platforms such as Mind Valley University, the Los Angeles Tribune, the Great American Speak Off, International Women's Day, on Apple TV, Roku TV, Women's Entrepreneurial Week. Her impactful strategies can convincingly implement your day routine. Dr. Lisa empowers healthcare professionals worldwide to transition from work dread and fatigue to awakening each morning with renewed energy and vitality. It's her mission to empower 1 million healthcare professionals to overcome and reclaim their joy, their life, and on their terms by 2033. She's also a part of the Mission Accepted, the 262 Women, which we will talk about. We're both in this book. But we're also going to just let you know this isn't just for health professionals. This is for anybody, anywhere along the line that's suffering from burnout right now. And, we're all health professionals in some way, whether it's we're looking after other people or looking after ourselves. And if we're not careful, we can burn out. And that can be something that's detrimental not only to yourself, but to everybody else around you. So you being optimized the best you can be on all levels, mental, physical, spiritual health, then you are abundant and you share that abundance with everyone else. Welcome to the show, Dr. Lisa.
Sarah, I'm so excited to be here. And you know what you just said about how all of us can be our own doctors?
Mm-hmm.
That is so true, because we know our bodies best. When we tap into that rhythm, our heart rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
the monthly lunar rhythms, that speaks to us. And when we listen, it has infinite wisdom to share with us. So yes,
this
we
network
are our
is
doctors.
right. And of course, this network is called Self-Discovery Wisdom. There is wisdom accessible to every single one of us. And our discovery is how to access that wisdom and
Yes.
use it in a way that becomes abundant and enriched to our own lives and everyone else. We don't tap into that wisdom if we're living in the conditional mind. We have to surrender, don't we?
We sure do. We sure do. I like to use the analogy of smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
We are way smarter than our smartphones, but just flow with me. Let's say we're all like our smartphones. However, starting at about age 7, we go on airplane mode and we don't even realize it. We disconnect from what I call the 5G network, right?
Mm-hmm.
The infinite field of possibility. We go on airplane mode and we just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing gets updated after that. The apps on our phone will not get updated, and especially the operating system
Mm-hmm.
does not get upgraded, I mean. And it's our operating system that runs the show, from
Yes.
our heartbeat to the way we brush our teeth to the way we do things habitually.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to move forward in life and not to be stuck in our 7-year-old bodies. Literally, a lot of us, we're just big 7-year-olds,
Yes.
very tall 7-year-olds. So what we got to do is, what I like to say is, I like to help people get themselves off airplane mode so that they can start updating their apps,
Mm,
updating their operating systems.
mm. And a really great analogy, because we don't realize very often, we put ourselves on mute. And so we're not even hearing messages coming through. And one of I used to have an exercise with people that took them on a metaphorical journey, and it was actually to kind of reveal how connected they are to themselves and to the world. And they always came out rather shocked of how disconnected they were. They thought they were in tune with everything, and then they didn't realize they walked past the answer all the time because they were not paying attention. They either
Yeah,
were on mute or were busy chasing something over there and not being present. And we really need to be present to know what needs to be updated.
for sure, for sure. I remember about a decade ago, I was definitely the way you had just described, Sarah. I was not present at all. I was either very worried about the future or constantly afraid that the past will repeat
Mhm,
itself. But I was never in the moment.
mhm.
So let's say if my kids talk to me, I wouldn't hear them.
Yeah, yeah.
I had my blinders on
Mhm,
and I had very limited vision, tunnel vision.
mhm. Well, as a parent, I mean, it's always, "Oh, what am I going to do for dinner? Does Johnny have to go here? Susie have to go over there? Have I done the laundry? Did I pick that up?" And that's the chatter going on in the head all the time. So to be present and take that deep breath and assess where you are. Now and again, your kids go and do something absolutely gorgeous, and you stop for a moment. Oh, aren't they lovely? And then you're right back on that treadmill again.
So you said something so key right there, Sarah, when you said breath.
Hmm.
So one thing I love is I like to call it like the elevator breath.
Hmm.
So I spend, and a lot of us, like many of you listeners, possibly spend so much time in our heads. We're trying
Hmm.
to figure out, solve this, check off our to-do list, and we're stuck here. But I do
Yes.
my elevator breath, and it's literally just a simple inhale. And on the exhale, my elevator takes me down a couple of flights, and I land right here. And when I do, I know I've arrived. And do you know how I
Yes.
arrived? I
Because
feel peace
I'm present.
and present.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm home.
Yeah. Hmm. It's a great feeling. And I think one of the things we've all got in common, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who you are, we've all got the clock, time. And we're so busy filling our time with things that we think we have to do because society has expected it from us, that we don't take the time to be present, to be centered, to listen to the universe, God, universe, spirit, energy, whatever you wish to call it. We don't pay attention to download what that upload because we're so busy chasing this illusion of what we should be and what we should be doing. And I think
Yeah,
let's get rid of the shoulds and just be. Find
yeah,
your be, just be.
yeah, yes. The could'ves,
Yes. Hmm.
should'ves, would'ves, we need
Hmm.
to take it out of our vocabulary
Yes.
and insert. I like to insert I am.
Yes.
So I've been using that a lot lately.
Hmm.
I am presence.
Hmm.
And for the first, I remember the first time I ever used that I am statement, it was so liberating
Hmm.
because I always thought I had to practice being present. It was work to be
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
I had to do X, Y, Z, and
Hmm.
it was a chore.
Hmm.
It was a struggle until I identified it as me.
Hmm.
It was just who I am
I
and who
am
I
what I am.
am. I
Yeah.
am what I am. I am that I am. So
Yes.
once I said I am presence, I was home once again. I was
Yes.
home. Yeah.
And that is where all the answers are. One of the things that stress does, and we all get there at some point. I'm about to move. Yes, I don't even want to think about the actual move. Yes, I'm a bit stressed out about it, all the packing and who's going to move me and all of that type of thing. But I'll get there. It's just like, stop worrying about it. I'll get there. I'll find the right people. We can't do anything. We're in a stressful mode. If we're fatigued, if we're stressed, if we're anxious, if we're depressed, if we're angry, everything about us crunches down. There is no chi, there is no energy, there's no fluidity, there is no clarity. You cannot make decisions in that time space because everything is switched off and shut down. So you need to take that breath and be present of where you are. And again, almost surrender, show me the way.
Oh,
Allow, allow, allow.
absolutely, Sarah. And by the way, if you need some moving boxes, I'll send them. Maybe I just moved. I can send you moving boxes.
I'm going to need a lot. Have you seen my books?
You will. It's so funny. I just had this conversation with my daughter yesterday about being in this state of overwhelm, this state of constant doing.
Yeah.
And I brought it to her attention that, me included, 10 years ago, like I fell into the 80-20 trap, where it's 80% doing and 20% being.
Yeah.
And it should be
Yeah,
the other
exactly.
way around. We should be 80% being, focusing on who we want to be. And then it makes the 20% that we have to do so much easier.
It does.
And in flow.
Yeah.
And now, instead of using the word overwhelm in our household, we're like, we're whelmed. I didn't even know that was a word for a while. So you get underwhelmed and overwhelmed, and then right in the middle, you can be whelmed.
And we don't hear that word. We don't. It's either the over or the under. We never hear it as just a thing of its own. Just like we don't look at ourselves as something of our own. We always are looking at what we should be, back to the shoulds, what people expect us to be, what people want us to be. And we're so busy chasing that we actually don't know who we are to become I am.
Yes, yes. I mean, that sounds like my story, the story of my life in my teens, 20s, and 30s. I immigrated to America with empty hands and a luggage full of dreams. I managed to finish my doctorate degree in 5 years instead of the usual 8 years because everything had to be fast.
Yes.
You can't waste a moment of your time.
Exactly.
You had to be efficient. You had to be productive. 5 years, yes.
But that's also the Oriental way, right? That is the Oriental way of conditioning, the education, the status,
yes,
there is no fun, you get to work.
It is associated, definitely. It's hardwired in my culture, for sure. But my mom was my role model. From the moment she got up till the moment her head hit the pillow at night, nonstop.
Yeah.
That's what I learned.
Yes.
Nonstop. So to get my degree in 5 years, there was no summer break, nonstop, worked full time, supported myself through college. And that was like normal. That was
and there was no 3-letter word in there, fun. There was no time for it.
No. I was always like, well, if you reach there, then maybe you might squeeze in a little bit of fun. It was always the
condition,
if, then fallacy.
Yeah.
I call it a fallacy now. So yeah, it in hindsight now, of course, I can say, yes, that is not me.
Yes.
But that was me growing up. That was me.
But that's the thing. We're conditioned, right?
Yeah.
The expectation. And especially if you are looking at a society that does it that way, that's the expectation. You feel if you don't live up to that expectation, you're a failure. right?
Yes.
Because that's the expectation. And the
Yeah.
identity to be yourself and go on your own rhythmic way is something that, no, we don't do that,
Of
right?
course not. You don't stray away from the path of the herd and
Exactly.
blaze your own trail. What the heck is that? Don't do
Yes.
something crazy.
Yeah,
There is no trail.
you're right.
Go where everybody else has
Hmm.
gone.
The sheeple bearing along.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was definitely sheep mentality. And now where I live now in Puerto Rico, we have the wolf tribe. So you might understand why it's called the wolf tribe.
A lot of howling going on. But
Oh,
yes, exactly. The moon. I think there's so much to be learned from nature, isn't there? That we look at, we kind of have almost put ourselves apart from nature instead of being as one with nature.
oh,
Nature supports us in every way, but we haven't become supportive of nature. We've lost our connection with it, with the land, with the trees, with the breeze, with the water. We've lost that listening ability. And if we just listened and immersed ourselves into it, we would hear everything that we need to hear. I believe in knowingness. The universe gives us the wisdom that resonates with the heart and truth, that lifts the spirit into action for a mind to have clarity when it needs to know it. But that can't happen unless we are present and at one and allow.
that is music to my ears, Sarah. By the way, I'm bare feet right now because I have although I'm on my tile floor,
You're
I'm
right.
still connected to the Schumann frequency of our planet the best I can. And I'm blessed enough to, with the warm weather here on the island, I could go barefoot walking on the beach every morning. So completely blessed. And I'm personally very new to plant medicine,
Mm-hmm.
but I recently had a tea ceremony. And in that tea ceremony, I was revealed the sadness of all our insects on our
Mm.
planet,
Yes. Oh,
in
yes.
particularly the bees.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
reaching extinction.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine our planet without our
No,
most important pollinator?
exactly. And bats, people don't even realize how much of their pollinators. I mean, we're so ignorant to what
Exactly.
supports us. We look at, oh,
Exactly.
bugs. Ugh. No, those bugs, they've all got a job.
Oh,
Everybody's got
yes.
a purpose, including us. We've all
Yes.
got a job. We're all contributors here. This is our rent, is to contribute, right?
Yes.
And to benefit from those contributions that everybody makes. And there is no mistake, except maybe mosquitoes. I know they've got a purpose,
I
but
have
I'm still trying
once
to work
met
out
a
what it
monk.
is.
I asked a monk once in Thailand, I said, is there, I believe you don't kill anything, right? He's like, except mosquitoes.
They are the most annoying and vicious creatures. They really are. But, you know, we talked about before we came on air about, frequency and consciousness and rising up. And this is very much my platform of us to rise up to a higher plane, to a higher conscious, a higher vibration. And in
Yes.
doing so, if I am doing that, if I am being that, I am resonating that, I'm sending that frequency out that becomes an invitation to others, becomes a symphony that we create together. And that
Yes.
to heal this planet, to heal our own souls, our own spirits, we need to rise up. We
Yeah.
are the answer. We're the problem. We're a huge problem, but we are the answer. And if we understand it is actually our responsibility to invest in ourselves so we can rise up to that higher consciousness.
Yes. To invest in ourselves,
Yes.
to fill our own cup
Yes.
so that we overflow
Mm-hmm.
in joy, in gratitude, in love to every insect,
Mm-hmm.
every human being,
Mm-hmm.
every plant species. I see it as the water fountain concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're so full, it overflows to
Yes.
everything around us versus, you know, the empty teacup that's
Yeah.
barely dripping and there's nothing left to share.
Right. Exactly.
And that was me, right? The
Mm,
burnt out me,
mm.
where I never filled my own cup and there was no frequency to distribute.
Right. Exactly.
Nothing
I've
left
been there,
to
love.
radiate.
Yeah, I hear you. I have been there. I was flattened. I became sick because of it, because there was no frequency running in my body anymore. I wasn't tapped into the universe. I am wind and water. I wasn't tapped into that. I was depleted, completely depleted. And so what happens in the dis-ease of heart and soul, I created a disease that then ravaged my body. Right? And then we don't realize that a lot of these diseases that we get are brought upon us because of the stress that we put ourselves under, the burnout, the lack of feeding ourselves the frequency, the giving. And I was a people pleaser, give, and until I was depleted and I didn't know how to refortify myself. I knew because I told everyone else, but I just didn't know how to do it on myself.
And our body, like you're saying, Sarah, it keeps score.
Yes,
Right?
it does.
If we keep depleting,
Hmm.
it'll reach this moment. And I think it does it to get our attention.
Yes, the cosmic
Like,
2x4.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Lisa, if you don't sleep,
Hmm.
I'm going to give you vertigo so you can't move, so you will sleep. And I
Yes.
really feel like those are my episodes of vertigo.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I reached a moment where my body says, no more, Lisa.
Hmm.
And I know the only way I'm going to stop you
Yes.
is to stop you like this.
Yes. Yes.
And however, I also learned that when we change our stories that we're
Mm.
in our bodies, we
Hmm.
start writing new chapters.
Yeah.
Our body responds miraculously. And that's what I've seen with magnetic mind,
Hmm.
where we've had 4 cases now where clients have been legally blind and
Mm.
they regain their vision. It's just crazy how miraculous our bodies are. Just
I live with a 90-year-old who she had a twin sister who died of a brain tumor, and then shortly after that, she became paralyzed with polio. Numerous operations, ended up with one foot shorter than the other. But her father was a believer. He was a believer. I don't know if it was so much church, although it was a church that they went to, but he was a
mm,
very kind of God, maybe, but and he was a believer in something because he was not very articulate on what he believed in. But he told her that I've given it up to God. I've done everything God has asked me to do. You leg will be the same length as your other one in 7 days, and you will walk. And she was 11 at the time, and she was wearing the brace and the platform boot. And she said, "Look, Daddy, I'm just happy to be able to walk." And he said, "No, you're going to be able to walk." On the seventh day, he would come in to put the brace on her because she couldn't quite work it. And he just picked her up and threw her on the floor and said, "Walk." And her leg was the same as the other leg. She went on to be a sprinter and to run and to do judo and to do all sorts of things, hockey, everything else. She's 90, turning 91 this year. She could still outrun me. She's just phenomenal, right? And it was that sheer belief. And miracles do happen, but it does require belief, right?
yeah.
And sometimes, like I know that part of the reason why I was given the disease is that my spiritual energy can be too high for most people. So I had to dampen it down. So this is why they gave it to me, to dampen it down so that I wouldn't overflow too much and cause a dam, flood everybody. So sometimes we kind of realize that we're given something because, it's to level us out in some way. But miracles do happen, and they happen absolutely every day, sometimes without us even knowing. We don't even know that it's happening to us. Case in point, I said before the show, my daughter and her husband have just bought me a home so I can live closer to them. I help with the babies. They look after me as I get old. How many children do that for their mother? And I'm extremely grateful because otherwise I wouldn't be able to afford a home. I'm a pensioner, right? So it's all I ask the universe for is please give me a sanctuary, a place that I feel safe in, a place that I feel at home in. And then this is what manifests. Let the universe know how you want to feel, not what you want. Oh, it's got to be this and it's got to be that. No, no, no. How you want to feel. Imagine yourself in something and how it makes you feel. The universe will match that frequency. Give it
Mhm.
time, give it this when it needs to synchronize and make things happen, it will make it happen, right?
Mhm. Delicious, delicious. So much self-discovery wisdom right there, Sarah. Yes, you talked about belief.
Yes.
And it reminds me of Dr. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of
Hmm.
Belief, right? Where belief changes the way our DNAs
Yeah.
express protein.
Hmm.
And then, therefore, that affects the way it shows up in our body,
Hmm.
whether the disease stays or the disease miraculously
Hmm.
goes away. We may call it a miracle, but there is like so much science now
Yes.
supporting this. And what you're doing is so amazing, Sarah, that we just need to get this into mainstream.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
if
I've
this
had
could
people with
become
they can
the way. Mhm,
regrow organs, and people say, "How can you do that?" We, in our limited thinking, put the obstacles in front of us and say, "No, we can't do that because I don't believe it can happen." But if we
mhm,
step outside of the human mind and body and
mhm,
tap into the universal knowledge, the universal wisdom, nothing is impossible. There is no such word as impossible.
mhm.
Everything is impossible to a certain degree, right? And it's that allowing, that believing that anything can happen. And
Yeah.
we open up then to those frequencies where suddenly, I mean, look at the things that we are doing today with AI technology, with medical technology. We
Yes,
can give people artificial hearts and artificial limbs, and look at what we can do, right?
yes, yes.
Now, people says, well, that's science. How do you think they got the innovative idea to do that science? They downloaded it. Yeah.
Exactly. And let's not keep that a secret anymore,
No,
right?
no.
And when you said the word impossible, what I actually thought of right away is I'm
Possible.
possible,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
I'm possible. And when we speak about the sciences, I couldn't help but to
Mhm.
get this flash of this experiment of there were three people meditating for a petri dish in a lab in a city far, far away.
Mhm.
And they were told to set an intention for these cancer cells in this petri dish,
Mhm.
for the cancer cells to stop multiplying.
Of course.
I
Of
know
course.
you're not surprised at all, but I want other listeners
Yes.
to know this, that this
It's
is not just something that Sarah and I feel.
no,
It is
a fact.
part of an
Yeah,
of the ultimate reality, the
exactly.
universal reality.
Call it the power of prayer if you wish. It doesn't matter what you want to call it.
Yes.
9 years ago, my mum passed away, but she was in desperate pain and she wanted to pass, but she just didn't know how. She kind of was blocking the way to cross over. And I put out a prayer vigil to everybody and said, I need support for my mum to be able to cross over peacefully. She was 95, had cancerous stomach, heart problems. I mean, she was beyond, right? So um, I had 130 people send out not just likes of this or that, prayers for your mum, this for your mum, that for your mum. In less than 24 hours, I got an email from my brother saying my mum had died. And apparently, my sister was looking after her. She'd gone to make a cup of tea. It was a dull day, grey day. And they put my mum up in the living room. There's a beautiful bay window. And my sister said she came back in. The sun was streaming through the window right on my mother. And my mother's hands and eyes were open and she had passed over peacefully. Prayer works. It doesn't matter what you believe in, whether you believe in God, universe, spirit, it's energy. It's loving, intentional energy. And we can send out that loving energy to anyone, to anything at any time.
Anywhere.
Anywhere. There are no boundaries for this. No boundaries. We create the boundaries as a human being. There are no boundaries in the cosmos.
No, no, no. Oh, thank you for that beautiful story, Sarah. Ah, I mean, these are the boundaries that we create with our five senses
Yes.
to make sense of our
Yes.
3D space,
Yeah.
right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't realize, if we put ourselves under electron microscope, we dive into the cells, dive into the nucleus, dive into the electrons and positrons, and we go into the subatomic particles, and we go into the quarks. And if we keep going,
Yes.
we call them particles,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's
Mm.
just probability,
Yes.
which means it's just space and energy.
Mm.
So we're just walking, vibrating bags of energy.
And anything is possible.
I'm
Anything is
possible.
possible. I'm
You're
possible. Everything
possible.
is possible. It's we put the limitations on ourselves, right?
Mhm.
If you really want to do, how can we see some people do the most extraordinary things against such incredible odds to
Yes, yes,
create something or to become something or to achieve something?
right.
And what's the first thing they say? Oh, that's so good, but I can never do that. But you've just put your own limitation on there. How
Yeah,
about, well, maybe I can't do that, but what can I do? What
yeah,
can I do? We put this thing with fear, but what if this goes wrong? And what if that goes wrong? And what if this? Why don't we change it to, what if I discover something that is extraordinary? Change the way we say our what ifs.
wow. What ifs?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yes.
I
Yes.
wonder.
Yes.
And I wonder how a flight attendant who was raised in the slums of Bangladesh
Mm-hmm.
manages to break 10 Guinness World Records and become a superhuman of all kinds of sports.
Mm-hmm.
And she does that to raise money for the children from the slums.
Yes. That's her
Against
purpose.
all odds,
Yes.
there
Yes.
was nothing in her
Yeah.
physiology to say that
She
she
wasn't
was
bionic.
great. She was not bionic woman. Nothing led her in that
Yeah.
trajectory until one day she
Mm-hmm.
went back and visited the slums
Mm-hmm.
and made promises to several mothers to say, I'm not leaving these kids behind.
Right.
And she's been raising money since. And there was nothing in her past that would say
Yes.
she would be on this path.
Right.
Nothing.
But that's the
Nothing.
point of it. That's the discovery. What is our meaningful purpose? We've all got one. We've all got a purpose. We're all here for something. What's our contribution? What is our gift to share? The analogy I always draw up is we are in discovery of what our instrument is and to learn how to play it. We can play a soloist and we can play it beautifully and really have an effect on people. But when we join an orchestra, each one of us in our own strength, and we harmoniously play together, we transcend that symphony that resonates out so abundantly. But we must know our own instrument.
Ah. Oh, you're making me just, oh, Sarah. So this has become my instrument.
And for people that are listening, she has a lovely little diamond in her forehead.
Yes, this has become my instrument, not because it's a bling bling,
Right.
but because I was gifted this right before I realized my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I would ever step on stage. And she was handing this out to everybody. She used black glue to glue this on. Can you imagine just black glue? And I kept scraping it. It fell off. I thought I lost it. And then someone just shows up and said, hey, I found this. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I have clear glue. Do you want it back on? Said, okay. So she glues it back on. I go on stage. And as I was speaking, I get the loudest message as I was speaking. Welcome home. This is
Mm,
what you're meant to be doing.
mhm, mhm.
But I want you to know when I'm on stage, it ain't about me.
No,
It
it's
was
about the
about
message coming through
holding
you. Yeah.
the sacred space.
Yes.
It was about the message
Yeah.
coming through me
Hmm.
and for me to deliver it sacredly
Yes.
so that it can be received by those who are ready to
Ready
hear
to
it.
receive it. Exactly.
And
Yes.
that is part of my purpose.
Right.
And this reminds me when I
Hmm.
wear this that I'm here to shine that light
Hmm.
for others who
Yeah.
are ready to receive it.
I get, people, how many people listen to your shows? And I go, all those that are ready to listen.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because we cannot dictate who listens, how they listen, or what they do with it. Although my motto is listen, learn, and apply, it's up to them what they do with it. It is out there in the ether, it is out there in the library for anybody at any time. And those that are ready for it will be drawn to it, to hear
Yes.
it because they're ready to truly listen.
Yes. Like insects who fly
Yeah.
towards the campfire light.
Mosquito to your blood. Yes.
Exactly. Those who are ready will come.
Ah, but the thing is, we can't force people to be ready. I believe that inspiration, and that's the reason why you're up on that stage, begets invitation. And it invites people to look at, I hear what you're saying. How does that apply to me? What can I do? Right? And that invitation through that inspiration is an ignition within you of something that you've got to share. There's something that you've got to give.
Inspiration in spirit.
Yes.
Ah, to be in, to be so aligned
Yeah.
that you can not only ignite that dampened fire in
Mm-hmm.
you, but you can start sparking. And that's why I call my program Spark. You can spark fires far away
Yes.
and also literally neuronal sparks.
Yes.
Their neurons are firing
Yeah.
and reconnecting. It it blows my mind. Literally blows my mind.
I've always been a rather strange person, is that knowingness, knowing what I need to know when I need to know it. And I've written my own book. Um, I have a book, Shameless Plug, which I told you I was going to do, our Forgotten Children book, which is 15
Plug
authors.
it, girl. Plug
Well,
it.
this was one that was given to me 5 years ago. You've done all these podcasts. It needs to be a book so the story continues. And it took that 4.5 year to get it together when it was right. All the people were right. It was the right time, right? Because then everything fell smoothly. And so it's 15 different people in here talking about parent burnout, point about parenting, talking about our children, how we're letting them down, which means we're letting society down in the future because we're not investing in our children. But when I went to put this together, it was just like everything is like the gates opened up. It's time, and not only now, I mean, and also it's a fundraiser, so all the money goes to each one of the authors organizations that supports children and families, so it's an awareness and a fundraiser. But it's now opened up to everything else. You're going to do 3 books a year, Sarah. There's going to be the paid book. I call it the Robin Hood thing. People will pay for the book, and then there's 2 philanthropy books. So the next one is Our Forgotten Seniors. And the thing is, we need to bring awareness to people. Half the people going through life are going through it robotically without realizing they can be a part of the change just by changing perceptions, by changing habits, by changing the way you are in tuned or not in tune to oneself or to the universe, by being aware and learning to care. We can be the change that we seek. But that's the invitation from the universe right now, isn't it? It's asking us to rise up to this higher frequency, to this divine. vibration to this beautiful enlightenment and this wonderful, peaceful essence, because that is what we need to do in order to save our planet and save ourselves as a humanity.
Be the change you wish to see.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And sometimes it's about, you know, either putting on new glasses or taking off old glasses, right?
Yes.
To change this perspective and raising awareness through your book, Sarah, through this podcast, through having these meaningful, heartfelt conversations is awareness.
Yes.
In one of the greatest forms. You mentioned earlier how we raise our vibrations, and I love this.
Bent fork?
A
A fork that is bent backwards, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be your typical fork at home, right? That you can eat your pastas and your stews with. I was taken through a practice, and at first it was stiff as a fork, stiff as a board. Nothing happened. And then I started judging myself. Why can't I do this? Why is everybody else doing it except me? Why is this fork so stiff? What's wrong with me? And it went on and on and on, the chatter. But in the split second where my mind was at peace and I let go of the judgment, it melted. The fork melted in my hand. I didn't even have to bend it. It melted. So that was when I said, wow.
Yeah.
That's bending reality.
Yes.
That's bending our perspectives.
Yes.
That's an example of oneness. I became one with the fork.
Yeah.
The fork became one with me when I stopped judging it and defining it by its rigid structure. And we became one.
When you became in flow.
And I became an observer.
Yes.
And not the judgmental critic.
Oh, God, yes. That judgmental critic is what gets us into trouble every time. It stops us from embracing who we are, embracing what we're meant to do. It stops us with connecting with people. It stops us in every way because we're either judging, I can or I can't, or they shouldn't or they should, or I don't like them because of this or the hair, this or that. And we've stepped into this judgment, which is so toxic. And you cannot create anything in toxicity. The toxicity burns it away, right? It's only when you surrender and allow and get into the flow, allow, flow. I am in flow. I'm yours to do what you want me to do. And then you bend whatever it is you need to bend. And very often it's your perspective.
And I also love to bend time now. We made up time as well.
Yes.
In addition to everything else we've made up,
Yes.
such as the lamp behind me, right? We made up time as well. And we're so good at telling ourselves and making up the story about how we don't have enough time.
Yes.
And that we're too busy.
Yes.
But what if we said a completely new story?
Yeah. Yes.
Time is my friend. I have enough time to take care of me. I have enough time to live my purpose and in my joy and to slow down to a point where friends have been telling me, do nothing, Lisa. Set aside a time to do and think and say absolutely nothing in your day.
Yes. Oh, I've lost you.
I said it silently.
Oh, okay. Okay. I have this drive, which I'm moving, so I'm not going to have this big drive anymore. But normally I have this drive, and I know some people love music blaring or podcasts or something going, but I absolutely love driving where my mind is on the road. It's doing its thing, and the rest of me can float, right? And I'm passing the trees and I'm seeing the beautiful waters because it's a beautiful island, Vancouver Island, and I'm just sometimes you see deer, sometimes you see this. And it's being present with what's around me while my mind is automatically driving because it's done it so many times. It's still aware, right? But it's that just, I'm not going to infiltrate my mind with music or anything else. I'm just going to float. And I love floating. I love silence where you just let your thoughts float and they go in and out and they bring all sorts of things to you. And it's kind of quite intriguing, that, oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
I
got something
love
to do with that.
reaching, yes. I love reaching that state in my meditation
Mhm.
where I just become this like focal point of light.
Mhm.
I almost feel like I'm out of my body.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely bliss.
Mhm.
And I could hang out there for eternity.
I call
For
that kind of
eternity.
the universal
I,
travel.
yes, yes, I could hang out there.
It's what's
Best place
people
to go.
say we describe it, and I said it's hard to describe because you're in nothingness but everythingness. You are nothing but everything. You receive everything but nothing. And they said, you're not making any sense. And I said, well, imagine you are completely out of body. There is no body to feel. You're just an essence in this beautiful black space, and all the lights and the planets and everything around you. They will feed you what you need to know, but it's not like knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. It's just, you know, a caress in many ways. And you're just floating there. So you feel like you're in nothing, but you're supported by everything. And then when you come back down into body, it is that
It's like I've landed.
I've landed, but you land with a clearer mind. And again, it's not like the vision, I'm going to do this and that. It is
No,
just
no.
taking that one foot, next foot, and you're on the right path. And all those things that come up are there to support what it is you're meant to do. And sometimes you don't even know what you're meant to do until you're partway down the path.
Yes. And what the gift of being able to be in that nothing and
Mm,
everythingness all at once when you land back.
mm.
I love becoming the observer of the observer of the observer,
Yes.
right? You get this miraculous bird's eye view,
Hmm.
and it's okay that you don't see all the steps.
Yes.
But you also have this trust
Yes.
that where you're going is where you want and need to go. But at the same time, with that observer ability, you don't get derailed
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
angst
Yes.
or what someone just said to
Mm,
you, right? You free yourself of all that. And that is probably a gift that
mm.
I would hope upon so many
Everybody.
more people on our planet.
6 years ago, I was given two things. I was given a vision of where self-discovery wisdom is going to go. And the books came up, um, education came up, and it came up with a directory for people with their services. And it was like, okay, and it wasn't like me rushing out and doing it. It was when me, or who am I going to align with? And through that 6 years, I aligned with this one or that one didn't work, that one didn't work. That's okay. But if always listen to the core. If the core said, don't do it, I don't argue. I don't do it. If the core says, "Yeah, give it a try," there's always something to learn from it, even if it's not meant to manifest in that way. But here I am 6 years later, doing everything that the platform told me I was going to do. And it's just literally been a step into it one at a time. But they also gave me a saying. This was before COVID. So the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up and change it up and grow up vibrationally, but also grow up. And I think
Rise
we're very much in
up,
that too.
rise up. We all got it.
Exactly.
Exactly what you said, Sarah. I similar to you. this past month, I received very clear messages. One, and honestly, I don't know the next steps, but that's okay. I've learned to
Yes.
be cool with the unknown,
It's
but
exciting. You're just present.
it is,
You'll
it's
know when it's
exciting.
there.
It led me to 262.
Yes.
It
Which
led
we
me
both
to
follow.
you, Sarah.
Exactly. Follow the breadcrumbs.
Yes, these divine breadcrumbs, but
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like a whole divine loaf of bread
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah. Bakery.
So some of the message that I've been receiving is to help save the bees with mushrooms,
hmm hmm
to bring blissful childbirthing practices back,
Yes.
not just into homes,
Yeah.
because it's available in home births,
Yeah.
but into hospitals
Oh,
where they're not readily available.
no. Boy, yeah. I've done shows on
That,
this and you've got a job
I,
ahead of you there. You really
that
do.
is a
Yes.
that is a great wall right there.
That is a
That
big
is a
one that
great.
you've taken on there because, when it comes to medical, the agenda is get people turned over like restaurants, next table, turn them over, get them out, drugs, operations, but not holistic in any way. And I've literally interviewed doctors who've left the profession because they incorporated holistic um, healing in there and they were attacked by the medical regime. For you to bring this into hospitals where the people say yes with medical support, but allowing the holistic birthing is a woman's right. She is giving birth, right? It should be her choice, and the medical is there for if anything happens, it's there, but allow that holistic support. But again, it's like for them, it's always the bottom dollar. It's not about the well-beingness.
So I've spoken to other moms,
Mhm.
and some of them call the hospital the slaughterhouse.
Yes.
What was so interesting is, let's talk about synchronicities, right?
Mm.
Once I got this clear message about childbirth in hospitals, the next day in my inbox, I get an email that the largest study on the safety of water births
Mhm.
has recently been published.
Mm.
We're not talking tiny, we're talking 170,000 water births
Mhm.
compared to 170,000 land births. So that is clinically significant. Nobody can say, well, you just looked at 5 water
Yeah.
births.
Mhm.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
So the tides are turning. The
Good.
tide.
Good. Good. Because I had horrific birthing. Horrific. Broke the forceps bringing my son out, and he went
It's
into
a
a coma.
crime.
Yeah.
It's a crime what is
Yes.
happening right now. It is a crime against humanity.
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
We're making childbirth trauma,
It is.
and it's
It's
meant to be
turning,
something. Yes, it's painful, but it's also blissful. And
it's meant
it
to
shouldn't be
be
the child's
a
first
rite
traumatic
of,
response in life. Yeah.
exactly. It's meant to be a rite of passage.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's turned into a traumatic
A manufacturing plant.
start.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And then that is it all goes down. We've done many shows, it all goes down to money. Money, 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 money. Everything is. And I think, I think this is as a society, if we all need money, roof over the head, etc., etc. But what we need to do is depower the importance of money. Because if we're always putting money as the higher frequency, we are defunding ourselves. And we need to change it around as to, I'm not rich by any means. I'm a pensioner, right? So don't make a lot of money from the show. So do it because I love it. Um, I feel so enriched and so abundant that I'm not even sure money could match that. Right? Doesn't mean I don't want money and I can't use money and it can't be productive, but it is not the driving force. And I think when people are chasing money and they lose their identity in the money, I am this rich, I have this amount of money, I am this powerful, you have become soul, heart, and spirit poor.
Correct, correct. I had a conversation about this with Deb Drummond.
Yes.
I was like, we should see ourselves as money conduits, right?
Yes.
Currency.
Yes.
And when we raise our vibration, we can flow money to the proper channels,
Exactly.
right? And let it be a tool for us and
Yes.
not a crutch.
Amen. Amen, sister. Absolutely. Then we won't see poverty in the world because what we will see is money going where it needs to enrich. And when we enrich lives, we're enriching creation, creativity, possibilities. We are behind on our human development of human growth, of spiritual growth. And the more that we level the playing field with the money, like
Yes.
all the people that are billionaires, you became a billionaire because of other people. If you give back and you seed other opportunities and other possibilities for people, it will enrich you so much more. I'm so glad you had that conversation because she's always yelling at me for not charging for the shows. Sarah, you haven't got the business
Be
hat
the
on.
currency,
Yes,
Sarah.
I
Be
know.
the
I
currency.
am the currency. Yes.
You are the currency. And it
You know,
just goes to show what you're doing, Sarah, and projects like 262
yes,
and celebrations like International Women's Day.
yes,
When women gather and when women show up, rise up, stand up, speak up into positions of power,
yeah.
the whole society changes. There was, in the most recent demonstration, is a country in Africa where most of the men died because of war. So the
Mm,
women had to step up and take
yeah,
over. But what they were able to show is that they were able to turn around the education immediately.
yes,
They turned around poverty in that
yes.
country immediately. Everything, socioeconomic status turned around immediately. And this is a modern day example of what happens when women, when there's a more alignment of masculine and
Mm.
feminine energy, when that's in alignment, we have a planet that we actually all want to live in.
And we need to take ego out of it because the ego I'm talking about isn't self-pride of your own accomplishment, but the ego of insecurity. I need more attention. I become the narcissist, the opulent, the greedy. And that's that ego that is constantly looking for validation, constantly looking for approval. And they do it in such extremes that it costs everybody else along the way. And we
Mhm.
need to check that ego in us. Why are we doing it? Right?
Mhm.
Are we doing it for ego? Look at me, look what I'm doing. Are we doing it because we are compelled to do it? Because our heart and soul want
Yeah,
us to do it?
yes. With the ego, where most of us have our egos in the driver's seat,
Yes.
we just need to move our ego
To the
to the,
trunk.
our backseat driver.
No, no,
Okay,
no, no.
maybe not
Trunk.
that
The
far.
trunk.
Okay, see, Sarah
Maybe
says
the
the trunk.
trailer behind.
Maybe, okay, she says get off the road.
Yes, definitely.
I do see a time and a place for our ego.
Mm,
It does tell us where we need to shine our light on,
yes,
where the wounds are, the parts of us, sort of like our shadows. But I do think our shadows have equal weight to our light.
yes,
We need the shadows to see the light.
yes.
And we need our shadows to know what aspects of us we need to work on. So I don't mind if my ego is just my backseat driver. I
R-
just don't want it being my driver.
Right. And why is it coming up? It's always checking why is it coming up? Are you offering something productive
Mhm.
or is this something detrimental? And it's for when you stood up on that stage and your message got across and it was well received. Yes, that did feed the ego, but what it more did is fed the purpose that you were received because people needed to hear it. You were feeding people the knowledge they needed to hear. Now, to
Yeah.
be ego in that moment of pride, that I've stepped into my purpose, and my purpose is having an impact, is something that we need to embrace.
Yes.
My purpose is having an impact. Thank you. Because if it's not having an impact, you're always going, but what good am I, right? So if
Yeah.
you get the praise back, that means you're on the right track. It's just keep it where it is. It's validation you're on the right track, or where else you need to encompass, but make sure it doesn't go high up into self-importance.
Yes, self-indulgence,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
judgment.
Yes. And generally judgment of everyone else. That's, that's what you get from people where they judge everyone else because they don't want to look at themselves.
Yes, yes. It's
And
what, like one finger at you, but
three
four
back at you.
fingers
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
me,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm saying that virtually in every show. What is your accountability, responsibility? What are you going to do about it? Even our reactions, to some things. And yeah, we need to check it. And that doesn't mean, back to perfect. We're not perfect. We're going to have reactions. We're going to have negative things now and again. It's
Yes,
look at it and go, keep it in check that it doesn't lose control.
yes. I love Viktor Frankl's quote, like
Mm-hmm.
one of my all-time favorites. Sarah, you're nodding. You know where I'm going with
Well, it's
this.
funny because I had somebody else that's last week with a quote from him as well. So yes,
Victor, Victor. Oh.
yes.
Between stimulus and response is the pause.
Mm,
And in that pause, you know how we're talking about taking that breath, right?
yes,
That pause, the silence, the
yes, yes,
nothingness.
yes.
In that pause lies our freedom.
Mm, hmm. And also lies our clarity,
Lies
which
our
gives us freedom, right? I mean, what is freedom? Freedom to be, freedom to know what is and what isn't. It is that clarity. And that's why we're so at home in it, because I'm in peace with my knowledge. I'm in peace with what I know right now. Even the fact that I may not know anything, I'm at peace with it.
yes, yes. And just as I'm talking to you, Sarah, I feel I'm at such peace right now. And there's this balance between the 5D
Mm,
and 3D and
mm,
keeping one foot in both simultaneously has been this dance that I've been doing. And I've noticed the more I do it, the more I enjoy it, meaning that I see the beauty of the 3D as well. In the past, I used to say, everything sucks, right? But now I see the beauty in the 3D. And I also see some of the pitfalls in the
yes,
5D. I'm able to see
yes.
both in this neutral way. And I'm learning to walk like the way Buddha says, right? This middle path where
Mm,
one is not always better than the other, or one is not worse than the other,
mm,
but this neutral point, this 0 point, trying to stay in this 0 point where there's no judgment and it's nothing is neither good nor bad.
right.
It just is.
Yes. And we do know, what things are bad. It's like we have to look at the people. They're not necessarily bad. They're doing bad things, but they're
Mm.
wounded people. Why are they doing those bad things? They're coming from a wound. They're coming from an inner child or feeling less than. And the more they feel fear or lack within themselves, the more they will go and do harm to others because they're constantly trying to get someone else to pay for their pain. But if we could look to those beings and say, send love to ignite the heart, you get those things. What would you wish for the world? Some people go love and peace, and I go a higher consciousness, because I believe if you're in a higher consciousness, you're in a state of love. If you're in that state of love, you can't knowingly harm anyone else. To do so is to harm yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. And hurt
Hurt people.
people.
They do. They do. Because they're in a pattern. They don't know that they're hurting. They don't know any other programming.
And and the best thing that we could do is to send them love,
Yes.
is to send them forgiveness,
Yes.
because they can't even forgive
No.
themselves.
Or sometimes not even acknowledge. They're not willing to change the program. And,
Yeah,
you can remove yourself from those people because you don't want to be around that vibration, but you can still send them, good vibrations for their journey. And,
yeah,
you're going to come across people in your life where they're not on the same frequency as you. And you
yeah,
you do need to let go because it is like fingers on the chalkboard, right? But you don't have to hate them for it. right?
No.
It
Mm,
is just, send them loving vibes that they find their way. You're on your journey. You're not on their journey.
exactly. I mean, forgiveness is a lot of times done to set yourself free and to set
Yes,
them free.
yes,
So the two of you are not entangled in this unhealthy mess where you're holding each
yeah.
other back.
And it doesn't mean you condone actions, but
Oh, of course not.
yeah,
Yeah.
because if the action was wrong, it was wrong. But you are forgiving, as you said, to release yourself and to release them. Again, their journey of their own self-forgiveness, their own self-discovery is their journey.
Yeah.
If you cross paths with that person and ended up wounding you, when it now is up to you to heal the wound, not them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And what you say, Sarah, about respecting each other's path
Mm-hmm.
is, is so critical. We're all on our own paths at different points, different levels of awareness, different levels of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
But respect is so key, and
Yes,
not to expect the same thing in response.
right. And please don't say, well, I did it, so you can. No comparison, no competition. We are all different. We're all going to learn and discover at our own pace, right?
Yes. And that's
No
what
shaming or blaming.
discovery wisdom too, right?
We do a lot of, my son broke his femur because he skipped school one day and he was on this big hook about 20 feet above this ravine. And when he got onto the hook, he thought, I don't feel great with the balance here. And somebody said, but my girlfriend can. And he was a 13-year-old. So, of course, the ego stepped in and he lost his footing, fell down the 20 feet. And when he was in the water, his leg had snapped in half and was behind him. Right. So ego stepped in, right? Not when the conscious said to him, don't do it, he didn't listen. It was a lesson for him to listen to that consciousness, right? Because the ego stepped in. And that's, we get pushed by other people. Well, why can't you do it? If I can do it, you can do it. No, that doesn't mean I can do it. I can maybe do something else, but it doesn't, I'm not on your path. What you can do on your path is what you can do. What I can do on my path is what I can do. Right. And it's
Yes,
to understand our own path. And sometimes paths will cross, learn from each other. Sometimes you redirect, wonderful, and it may lead you back then to your path, but you had to learn something along the way. But stay not in your lane, because I hate that word, but be true to your own journey. Don't let other people derail you along the way.
yes, yes. And I've also learned to stay out of or not impose myself onto others
Mhm.
or their journey,
Yeah.
because I know the more I push, the more they resist back.
Yes.
So I've learned that the more I respect and
Hmm.
be a really good listener, listen more than I speak, it everybody wins.
Right.
Everybody
And things like this podcast or TED Talks or things like that, the wisdom is at people's fingerprints. Right. I have another site called the orchardofwisdom.org, and that's where the books and the programs are. And it's like people say, well, why do you call it an orchard? I said, ready for clicking, just like you will pick the fruit from the orchard, right? It's like, all of those trees are abundant with podcasts, and there's a podcast for you to help you where you're at that time and allow it to inspire you. Maybe there's one thing you get from it, but we need to participate in our own journey. We need to listen to other perspectives, other inspirations, other things that we never realized, digest it, and then see what it means to you. But we don't have an excuse today. Books, podcasts, TV, YouTube, everything, we've got it all there. There's
Yes,
support for us all along the way. And then when you find somebody that you've listened to that you resonate with, now you know, I feel the vibration of this person. I hear them. They're speaking to me. Now you reach out to that person to help you on your journey.
that's beautiful. I feel like I've gotten so deep into the why of who you are. I'm loving it. I'm loving spending this moment with you. I'm cherishing being fully present with you.
Well, we talked at the beginning of the show about foreplay, and I'm sure some people were very, very confused because I've just left it up there as foreplay, let people kind of find out. Explain what the foreplay is.
I would love to. So my nickname is Dr. Tantra.
Ah.
Dr. Tan, but Dr. Tantra.
Uh-huh.
And my interest in Tantra is the way it allows all of us to be,
Mm,
to see everything as divine, even in moments of what we think might be something very mundane, such as washing dishes,
mhm,
to even see the divinity in washing dishes. And to know that all our experiences, including not just our out of body,
mm,
but especially even our visceral, sensory, in body experiences, are also connections to our spirituality.
mhm,
That's why I like it so much. Now, foreplay is related to that.
mhm,
Foreplay is like the appetizer before the entree,
mhm,
the hair toss before the photo, the journey before the destination. So life is a series of foreplays, one after another,
mhm,
a series of bringing joy,
mhm,
one after another. And to play full out in life, F.O.R.E, the four of foreplay. F, which we've spoken about, forgiveness.
mhm,
The power of forgiveness allows us, as Sarah to describe when she's driving along
mhm,
and she's going on autopilot, but she is in this peaceful state. That is when our brain hits the alpha state
mhm,
frequency. And forgiveness has been shown to keep us in alpha state longer.
mm.
And that is the same as being a Zen Buddhist monk who has meditated for decades. So
Yes.
you can reach that
Yeah.
without meditating for decades, just by the pure act of forgiveness.
Mhm,
It shows left and right brain coherence.
mm,
And it's even been shown if you're a basketball player, you can jump higher. So just to let you know, it's very powerful. But to take forgiveness even one step further, instead of using forgiveness now, I like to use forego.
mm. Yeah.
Let it go.
Mm,
Because when you truly understand or
mhm.
understand, you don't even need to forgive anymore.
No. Right.
So that's F in foreplay. The second piece of this is O for oneness.
Mm,
We talked about it a lot.
yes.
I love to use my fork, my my ending of reality, and technically nothing bent. What I
Mm,
shifted was my perspective to oneness, and that this fork and I are no longer separate entities.
mm,
You and I are not separate. Me and this lamp, we're
mm.
not separate.
Yeah.
We're all energy and we're all one.
All
And when
particles.
you reach that state,
Mhm,
blissful,
mhm,
absolutely blissful.
mhm,
R, F-O-R. We're on the R now. R for the R spot. A lot of people know the G spot, but no,
mm,
I'm talking about the R spot, the elusive R spot, this part of you that is rare, raw, and real,
ah, like that. Yeah.
but it's been
Mm,
buried by the could have, should have,
mhm,
would have. And it's time to tap into that spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to unearth it. It's time to let it come out. And I do that with another R called the recode, which we've touched on. It's about taking yourself off of airplane mode,
Mm-hmm.
connecting to the 5G network. There's a window of opportunity where your long-term memory neurons separate, and it happens in about 3 to 5 minutes. And where when we rewire, we're able to separate the memory from the emotion.
Oh,
So
lovely.
let's say you had an event that made you terrified of public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Terrified. Public speaking is the number one fear in the world. We take a look at that event that created that fear. The fear goes away, and you're just left with the wisdom of the event.
Mm.
And guess what? You're able to speak in public once again.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so important because the world needs to hear your story.
Yes.
So we did forgiveness, oneness, the R spot, and the E in four play is embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
It is very crucial to embody this back into the cell, back into the DNA level.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the DNA level, what is also stored is 7 generations or more of things from our great, 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 great,
Mm-hmm.
great grandparents that we don't even know we have. So when we embody new information,
Yes.
new wisdom, we're able to let go of some of that, what I call the junk in our trunk. And I love to do it through movement.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So forgiveness, oneness, our spot, and bring it back into the body and embody it. And that's foreplay. That's how you play full out in life.
I love it. I love it. I love, I love the letting it go. Why did that song, have everybody
Let it
singing it?
go.
Exactly. It is forgiveness isn't I forgave you and I'm holding on to that. No, it is let it go. It's been spent. It's an emotion that's been spent. And if you keep thinking about that forgiveness, you're still a prisoner of it, right? So let it go. And like the raw, that's what we're asking you to be, raw and real, right? We don't want the facade of you. We don't want the societal expectation of you. We want the essence of you, the raw essence of you, because that's your truth. Absolutely perfect. No, I love that analogy. That's wonderful. Yeah, let's all kind of have a little foreplay in our lives, right?
Every day, sprinkle it in.
I'm glad we didn't talk about it at the beginning because we've actually conversed about it all the way through the show. And then, at the end of it, it's kind of defined what we've been speaking about, in
Yes.
order to let things go. We've got to do that forgiveness. In order to find ourselves, we've got to be real. We have to surrender to that real and rawness about us. That whole thing of being able to embrace who we are and what we are and where we're going is that trust, that essence, uploading, downloading. It's all about that. And if we are on mute, if we are on aeroplane mode, we're not receiving, we're just mindlessly going through life and expecting life to happen for us. We've got to unplug and plug in a different cord in order to receive the right information that's going to propel you forward.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And with just touching a little bit on plant medicine, just a
Yeah.
smidge, as another tool to connect to our spirituality. Someone once said that mushrooms are the OG 5G.
Yes.
It's the original 5G network because the root system pervades the entire planet
Mm-hmm.
and it's communicating. The bees communicate that
Mm.
way. The insects, the trees. I mean,
The,
it's the symphony that you're talking
the
about,
fiber
Sarah.
optics are all communicating with each other.
It's
Yeah.
the fiber optics.
Yes.
It's one of the instruments that we need to listen to.
Yes, absolutely. Back to listening to the thing. And you know, the interesting thing about mushrooms, and done a few shows on that on mushroom psychedelics or on mushroom health, mushroom coffee. And the thing about mushrooms, you know, you've got that whole The Last of Us, this TV show about mushrooms, because of global warming, mushrooms are the fastest growing thing, and that how it affects the brain, and everybody becomes this kind of mushroom type of thing. But basically, kind of what it is saying is that you know, the world can, Mother Earth can evict us anytime, right?
Yeah.
Because she is powerful, and she's definitely showing her power and also showing her displeasure with us, with what we're doing to this planet. But
Correct.
mushrooms are one of these things that can do so much for you on so many levels. They can open your mind, they can lift you up into a higher plane, they can be healthy for you, they can heal you. It just like so much to do with it. But also the metaphor of the fact that it is one of the fastest growing things, because it can grow in so many different things, means also our consciousness can grow like that as well. Let us grow like mushrooms. Let us grow like weeds and raise that
Let
consciousness.
us raise the vibration like
Yes,
mushrooms.
yes.
Let us spread the spores.
Yes, exactly. Spore out our love, spore out our consciousness. Let's let it get out there. You know, it isn't about mushrooms taking over and becoming like the new Walking Dead. It is about, you know, enlightening us and opening up our consciousness. And this is what we're desperately needing to do in this world right now. And it isn't like, oh, well, I'm waiting for this person or that government or this or that. Government's lost its way. Very evident. Around the world, government has lost its way. For
Yes.
every problem there is out there, you will find a human that's found a solution, and generally a woman, because a woman is designed to find solutions to a problem. You look at
When
how
it
many
comes,
innovations out there that came from women, right? So
yes.
we are multitaskers. We are people that can see the problem. It is the era of woman. This is why you've got so many men complaining, wanting to turn the clock back to the handmaiden's tale, because they feel threatened. We're not here to overtake you and lord over you as you have lorded over us. We're here to work with you in tandem, right?
That is exactly what was shown in that government in Africa.
Yeah.
When women come into positions of power, they're
Yes.
not there to overpower
No.
others. They're there to work as a team.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
very different. And for women innovators, they're not innovating to say, hey, look at me. This is going to be all good for me.
Hmm.
They're innovating for the greater good.
Yes.
That's the difference.
You know, we were designed to you know, be mothers, and as a mother, you know, your bottle washer, your head cook, your counselor, your nurse, your chauffeur, your tutor, your sex goddess, your everything, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
you know, for people who you know, kids leave home and go, I don't know, I've got no skills. You've got all of those skills. Now what you've got to do is find your passion that you can hone those skills into, because we are designed to be multitaskers, to see the bigger picture and know you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. Let's do this together, right?
Yes. And one thing I love to add to my multitask now
Yeah.
is the do nothing. That's also
Yes.
on my multitask.
Yes. But you know, you do see, you know, I call it the kind of the picket fence, sit down and talk with people. Or, you know, my new home, I have a nice outside porch. I love sitting out, you know, for me, I love porches. I love sitting out there, a cup of coffee, and just watching the world go by. And I've got all these beautiful trees around me. And it's just letting nature sing to you. Just even just feeling trees talk to us all the time. When that breeze goes through their leaves and it rustles, it's speaking to you. It's not speaking English or whatever your nationality is. It's speaking to your heart and soul and your core. Listen, because suddenly you'll have an epiphany, or you'll just have a deep breath, or like, ah, that thought. And you think, where did that come from? Well, the trees gave it to you. Say thank you.
My favorite part of yoga, I always ask the teacher, when are we going to get to Shavasana where we get to lay down? And when I do get to lay down, I look up, we're outdoors and we're under a tree.
Hmm.
And I'm just observing the
Yes.
leaves, the patterns of the branches.
Yes.
But I wasn't always this way, Sarah.
Uh-huh.
This was a recent epiphany for me to start like being more observant of especially trees.
Yes.
And as I do that, I noticed there's this one very special tree. It had roots from like branches, let's say 100 feet up. And there was this roots coming straight down. And I asked myself, what is this trying to tell me?
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh.
like, maybe you need to anchor and stay grounded more. Maybe you're too, who knows?
The thing is that if we allow those thoughts to come to us, very often, I don't know about you, but I find it doesn't articulate in a language, like it doesn't speak to you. It comes to you, for me, comes to me in pictures in a movie. I've always got a movie going on in my head, and different things come to me, and different scenes will mean different things. Right. So that's, how that knowledge comes. But there's a beautiful TV series, a movie done with Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench. It was on BBC. I'm sure you can pick it up, on trees, and where they did the slow camera on the fiber optics of how trees speak to each other. They don't look in the forest, well, you're an oak, I'm sorry, you have to leave. They embrace everybody's trees. Even when a tree goes down, life comes from that tree. And the fiber optics from the connection from every single one of those trees is their matrix. Now, if we could look at ourselves simply as that, of communicating with each other in all our beautiful oaks and willows and everything else that we are, and communicate and support each other, imagine what kind of society we would be.
I'm breathing that in because in my mind, I'm literally seeing fiber optics,
Yes,
the entire planet communicating,
yes,
the mushrooms, the
yes,
bees, the
yes,
insects, all the
yes.
trees, the aquatic mammals, the land animals, like, and us. Like,
We're the
if we,
ones that are actually behind in that connection.
yes,
All of these animals know how to connect, and we let our so-called intellect get in the way. And if you can let go of your academic intellect and trust your soul intellect, you'll know how to connect.
we are physiologically built
Yes,
to have that intuition that you speak of, Sarah.
yes,
You
yes,
know, our pituitary gland, our
mhm,
pineal gland. It's just that, for example, fluoride is causing it to calcify right now, right?
exactly. Yes,
Ugh,
I know.
ugh, that's another
I
really
know. I'm
big
very
show that we
anti-fluoride.
can
When I
go
go to the
on to.
dentist, I've always got a fight on that. Yes.
And we actually are all capable of using our intuition. We
Absolutely.
just don't know it.
We've got to
It's not that one of
get
us
out
is
of our
more,
way.
yes,
Yes.
it's not that one of us is more special or
No.
one of us built differently. Every single one of us can do this.
And some people are more in tune because they've been more surrendered to it. They're more are living more in that platform. But
Yes.
you take um the roots and the fiber optics of a tree, and you look at the same of a heart, it's the same pattern. We are all particles of the
Wow.
universe. We're all particles in this world. We're
Mm.
all designed to connect with one another. How come, hearts, even if you transport it into another body, somebody can pick up that heartbeat somewhere else. They can feel the essence of that other person. We are all connected. And if we learn to tune into each other, we realize there's a symphony going on all the time that we can tap into and be a part of, and we can listen to, that can propel us. But we've got to understand we are not the highest species on this planet. We are not. We are a part of the collective species on this planet. And just because an animal doesn't speak English and doesn't have a degree doesn't mean they're dumb. They're incredibly intuitively smart. We haven't tapped into that intuition, and we can be really, quite honestly, quite stupid because we're living just the human life and not the human spirit life. When we step into that spirit, then we truly understand why we're here, what we're here to do, how we are a part of this world. Instead of dominating it, let us embrace the gift that we are to it and respect the rest of what this world has to give us, along with the universe. It's completely entwined.
Amen. Amen. What you just said just gave me a whole new perspective on oneness in foreplay. You said the patterns in the heart matches exactly that of the fiber optic
Yes,
patterns and the root patterns of trees.
yes,
Did not know that.
right.
Woo!
Yes.
Woo, woo, woo.
We are not so dissimilar. We're just a different species. We're walking trees. We're walking plants, right? We have an intellect, a brain that allows us to absorb knowledge in a different way. All the other species are cosmic intellect. They are earth and spirit intellect and wisdom. When we match our cosmic spirit along with our human intellect, my God, how incredible we will be if we're
Mm,
spirit driven for our knowledge, not knowledge driven for our spirit.
mm, mm. I remember watching Pocahontas as a little girl. It just came out on the movie, the Disney movie. And I remember her relationship with the birds,
Mm-hmm.
all the animals of the
Mm-hmm.
forest. And in the song, it also says the song of the forest.
Yes.
And that was probably my very first introduction to oneness.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until years later, probably within these past 2 years, where I really start understanding more, although there's much more to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in my infancy
Yes.
in this concept of connection and how we could continue to spread this more. And with AI,
Mm-hmm.
I like to call it authentic intelligence.
Yes. Yes. In the wrong hands,
What
it
you
is
are
detrimental. In the
seeing.
right hands, it's enlightenment. It's a
Yes,
partner.
yes, yes. But when we tune in as
Yes.
you speak to Sarah, we're tuning into that authentic intelligence
Yes.
that is available to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I so wish that this is taught in schools.
That's what this book is about. How we need to change the educational platform. How we need to teach our children this, because like the way we're teaching our children now is out of date. It's in the book. And and the book was brought about to bring about the awareness of the changes that we need to be a part of. You know, the thing is, don't say, well, I'm not a parent, so why do I need it? Well, you do need it because you need to know what parents are up against. You need to know that these children will be your future leaders. So the more you are aware of what change is needed, your perspective that is needed around the raising of children and families and burnout and everything else, the more you actually become a part of the equation, the part of the solution. So it's like, ah, la, 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 it's nothing to do with me. Everything is to do with you.
Yes,
Everything. We are all to do with each other. And we have our different strengths. Oh, I can take this. This is my dish. I can produce this. You produce that dish, and we're going to have an amazing smoker board, right? But it doesn't mean you're going to eat every dish there. You'll
no,
partake from the wisdom that is your taste and your requirement at the time.
yes. I actually also see that our children,
Mm-hmm.
the world's children, they
Yes.
are our leaders now,
Oh my goodness. Oh,
where
how enlightened they are.
they were
Yes,
birthed to teach us, the parents, not the other way around.
absolutely. And that's another thing I want to change is that we have these beautiful children. I have another channel called Raising Our Gifted Children. And then we send them to school to conform and to be restrained and be told you've got to fit into this box or this category, instead of allowing them to be the essence that they are, the teachers that they are, and nurture and give them strategies and tools in which to refine that, right? We instead cut it off and diminish it. And that's what needs to change.
Yeah, it's really sad how archaic the
Yeah.
education system when it was first developed during the Industrial
Yes.
Revolution to
Yes.
produce factory workers who knew how to make 100 lunch boxes
Yeah.
over and over,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's, I see change coming, but it's very slow and definitely not fast enough that we need right now.
Just like you have stepped up with the bees and you've stepped up about birthing, it's like, what are we going to step up for? Right? What is it that we can step up and start being a voice? Nothing happens if people don't know.
Yes,
Educate people, talk about it, let it be your platform, right? Don't
yes,
laud, don't bash, don't beat people up about it, but talk about it. Let them digest the information. Once they know, they can't unknow as much as they would like to. And the more awareness we bring about, not just in the physical conversation with people, but the ether, the energetic ether out there, the more that change will come about. Change does not come about at the government level. Change comes about by the individuals that want to step up and be that change.
yes, yes. I have friends, and my partner, he's actually an energy conduit
Mm.
where he would channel specific frequencies and send it back into the ether
Yes,
so that those who are ready to
yes,
receive the necessary technologies, let's say
yeah.
to stop global warming,
Mm-hmm.
to reverse the plastic situation in the ocean, and to receive these downloads, they
Mm-hmm.
will be the ones. And he sees his role as the conduit where he's
Yeah,
bringing in the new technology from friends
yes,
in different parts of the universe.
yes. And that's what it's about. You know, even what we've talked about today is already out there. Somebody is
Oh,
already picking up our energy, even though the show only comes out next week. It's already out there. And then somebody else will kind of, as they're traveling frequency, they go beep, beep, beep. Oh, I've got to listen to this because
yes,
it's on that frequency. And the thing is, you can't really talk to people until they've tuned in. And we've got to be willing to tune in. And when you do, and you're open to receive without dictation, without
yes,
order, you know, just willing to receive and just
yes,
receive wholeheartedly, whole soully, whole spiritually for your mind to know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And not
yes.
with the condition of, but I don't do it that way, or so so does it that way. I don't want to hear that. I don't want you to speak intellect at all. I want you to feel the knowledge that is being given to you. Let it ignite with your heart and truth. Let it lift your spirit into action. Let it give you the clarity and the epiphanies of the mind. Do not think it, feel it.
Mm, feel it to be it.
Exactly. That's where the
Then
truth
you
lies,
see
right?
it.
Yes,
Feel
exactly.
it, be it, then you see it.
Exactly. And then you become it,
And then
right?
you be, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what are you offering people with everything you're doing, the foreplay and everything? How do you serve your clients and where do they come in order to reach you and join what it is you're doing?
I would love to invite all listeners who resonate with what Sarah and I have been talking about to come visit my website, www.drlisatan, DRLISATAN.com. And there is a free gift there waiting for you. It's called the Ultimate Queen's Guide, 6 bellylicious ways to turn burnout into bliss. So these are easy ways that you can just sprinkle throughout your schedule and take you into whelm.
Exactly. Um, you have another one under construction, Spark, your innerfire.com. Is that one going to be redone or
Yeah.
is it?
So when we were speaking of purpose, one additional purpose that I feel truly called to, and that's why one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to Sarah's mission and the mission of 262
Mhm.
is to continue to build what I like to call a global hive
Yes.
of women leaders who have awakened, and that's the
Hmm.
why my company is called Awakened, who have awakened to their divine powers.
Hmm.
So it's
Amen to
a
that.
partnership and it's called Spark.
Right. Ignite the spark inside of you. You know,
Yes,
once
the
that spark is
sparking
ignited
inner
in you, it's the
fire.
passion, right? It's the
Yes,
fire. It's the, I've got to
yes,
do it. I've got to do it. And when you've got that, I
yes,
got to do it. There's no holding you
yes.
back.
And know that when you're saying you gotta do it,
Yeah.
literally, literally, this is not just
Yeah.
figuratively. There are sparks going on in your brain. We talked about that window of opportunity
Yes.
where your neurons will separate for 3 to 5 minutes, and that is your window of opportunity to rewire. And
Hmm.
what you're left with is just the wisdom and no
Yes.
longer the junk
Ah,
in your trunk.
oh, absolutely. And you know, the thing is, everything comes at the right time. Like years ago, sorry, you've got to write a book. You've got to write a book. And eventually I did. But I thought I had everything nicely timed out. This is going to happen then. This is going to happen then. Da 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 da. Instead, the universe said, no, no, we're going to ride the wave. Your book is going to come out. The Our Forgotten Children is going to come out. You're in another anthology, Dare to Live Fearlessly, and you're also part of the Mission 262. And it's all happening within this 5 month period, right? And of course, moving and lots of other things that are happening. And it's like, you know, there's sometimes the universe has a good laugh at us. They say, you asked for it, here it is. Yes, but could you pace yourself? They don't have the same human time, right? So they're going to give it. So sometimes you've just got to go, okay, I'll open up. Here's my basket, load it up, and I'll deal with it.
So recently I said, hold off on the loaves of bread. Let's go back to the breadcrumbs.
Yes, yes.
I handle the loaves of bread.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I call them balls up in the air and I'll bring it down one at a time. And but it's like, I knew this year was going to be an exceptional year, and so far, just in the 3 months, it has proven to be so. And but it's an accumulation of my entire journey, of everything I've ever been, I've ever done, I've ever thought. And it's like the universe said, you're on the right track. You're doing what you're meant to be doing. We've got the wind behind you now, right? So that's the thing. When you've got that wind behind you, put your sails up, man. Put your sails up.
Yeah, so I've been shown a lot of queen bee energy right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And similar to your sails, I got my wings up and
Yeah.
I've got wind beneath my wings.
Right. And the honey pot is waiting.
Yes, the honeypot's waiting. The global hive is
Yes.
here.
I like that. I
Not
like
to
the
say
global hive. And just as much as
done.
like bees and other things becoming extinct, we will too. I wish people would understand this. We will too if we
Yes,
don't step up and become a part of that collective. And just
yes,
like Star Trek, The Borg, where it was a collective where you became mindless, it isn't about that. It is about the orchestra. It is about you bringing your beautiful instrument to play harmoniously together, to play many pieces of music in all sorts of ways to transcend and lift and allow, and to still be that soloist when you need to be, right? It's about learning to play with others, but knowing what you're bringing to that collective is sublime.
yes. I love the word play. You guys all know that by
Yes.
now. Yes, foreplay, play in all forms.
Yes.
Whether you choose an orchestra, whether
Mhm.
you choose a global hive,
Yep.
yes, we are
A part of something.
the collective.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
collective.
And again, it's about what your gift is to that collective. It isn't about you merging with the collective and not being. It's about you being the beautiful essence that you are, that is going to enhance that collective even more. And imagine every single one of us brought our beautiful essence to that collective, how much it can transcend. Oh, absolutely brilliant.
My observation is that many have forgotten that they are queens.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm just here to share my story and just to give a little nudge and say, hey, if you resonate with my queen energy, the hive is open. Come
Flap
on in.
your wings, flap your
Flap
wings.
your wings over.
I love the energy. I love the journey. I love what foreplay stands for. I love all of it. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, Lisa. And people really reach out. You've got the free one there. Reach out and have a conversation with her. You know, You know, maybe the beehive is something like, wow, yeah, I feel myself buzzing away already and I want to kind of join the hive. You don't know until you take that next step. Remember, these shows are about listen, learn, and apply. The apply is reach out, go a little further, start investigating. The biggest leap you'll take in life is that first step. So take that step forward, not with dictation, not with anything other than anticipation of what you're going to learn, the wonderment of what you could become, the openness and readiness to receive. And then you'll actually discover who you really are and what you're here to do and just how awesomely flawsome you are.
That was honey delicious. Sarah, has been an absolute blessing. And the leap that I'm going to take, I'm going to grab your book. I
Thank you.
hope everyone grabs your book, The Forgotten Children,
It
because
is it is an important one. It is the first conversation. There's going to be more of these books. There's going to be our forgotten seniors as well, because the way we treat our seniors, who've laid the path for you, we've got to change that. But with our children, it's always been a passion for me. If we don't take care of the children, we have wounded adults. We
yes,
must take care of the children. So the
yes.
leaders that they become tomorrow are open and they are illuminating and they are inspiring and they are inquisitive and they are open to all that is what we're meant to be ready for. We're behind time in our evolution. It's time for us to put the foot to the pedal and rise up.
And just as Sarah uses different ways to support all her causes, I do as well. Know that when you support the Spark membership and become a member, a portion of the proceeds will go directly to an international organization formed by midwives, doulas, and OBGYNs who believe that every woman in the world deserves a choice to a safe and
Mhm.
blissful childbirth.
Absolutely. So do the children. So many children are
And
born to trauma and they carry that trauma with them. They carry it with them. It's the first trauma they have. Let's make the experience beautiful for both child and parent,
yes,
and let it be something that illuminates them along the way and not something that scars them. So please support that cause. I'm right behind that. We've done lots of shows on it. Absolutely, we've got to push that forward. So thank you. I'm glad you're taking the bees and the babies forward.
that's going to be my new slogan, the bees and the babies.
For a better future, BBB. You never know what's going to come out of anything, do you? This has been wonderful. I'd love to have you back again down the road. We are all both part of the Mission 269, which is going to come out in May, folks. So keep coming back to her page here. It will be out in May when the links are out there. I'll put it up there. And it's 262 women who have contributed to this. And each one of them has shared their passion and also their skill. But it's all about supporting one another. And it's been absolutely illuminating every month to listen to women speak like yourself, who you spoke, and I was there, and I reached out and said, come along, you got to do a show. And it's about uplifting each other, by supporting each other, by sharing the gifts that we have with each other and allowing each other to grow into that beautiful enrichment and abundance that we so well deserve when we step into our heart, soul, and spirit.
Oh, it has brought me so much joy to lock arms with you today, Sarah, and that we're all gonna keep stepping up, showing up, speaking up, rising up.
Yep,
We're all gonna
exactly.
do this together.
Yes, change it up. Right, it's right. To
Yes,
raise it.
thank you.
Absolutely. Let's step into our beautiful essence because that's who we're meant to be. So thank you so much, Lisa. And to everyone else out there, please take that deep breath, let it in, let everything else out, and let yourself be. Until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life. And we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.